Hello, everyone, and welcome to Battle of the Beast Transformation Takedown. I'm Adam, and this is the 15th battle of this tournament, and also the last battle of round 1. So far through round 1, we've had 14 incredible battles, some ranging from okay to downright amazing. And yeah, we already know 14 of the beasts that made it through, and most of them are incredible beasts. Maybe one controversial pick from a fight where one beast probably shouldn't have won but did win due to the way I narrated it. Yeah. Anyway, we got 14 beasts already through to round 2. We need one more to make it through, and who would it be out of the last 2 beasts to fight? Will it be a representative of Series 10, one of the Knights of Forton, more precisely, the White Knight of Forton, the one that had a lance? Will it be the one that has the ability to transform into a beast so big, yet so underutilized that it got remade and redone in Series 24? I'm, of course, talking about Tecton, the Armored Giant, versus his opponent, a beast conveniently from Series 24. The only one which has the ability to change form, was a transformation beast. But it wasn't just any regular person or any regular animal. No, this beast, well, this beast was transformed into, with the person that was the victim of being turned into this beast, was none other than our main protagonist, Tom. I'm, of course, talking about Krokol, the Father of Fear. So with that, Tecton versus Krokol, honestly, okay, so let's add a bit of context here. When Insects Only was announced, myself and Lucas did the matchups, and going through the matchups, the first one that came up was Vespic versus Cressa, which, if you didn't know, was the last battle of round 1, because it was the most interesting one. And this battle, Tecton versus Krokol, was also the first matchup that was announced from the random team generator, which Lucas did for me. And yeah, so two tournaments in a row. The first matchup that's announced for round 1 is the last battle of round 1, because it's arguably one of the more interesting ones, in my opinion. Now, if you're wondering why I say this battle's more interesting than Cobra versus Zircon, it's because they're both great shape-shifting beasts, and Zircon does have some abilities which can help out. Ultimately, I'm saying that Cobra had more beasts that he can transform into, plus also being able to take the abilities like Zircon can, but he just had more abilities at his disposal and didn't tire out quickly. So I feel like that made it a little bit obvious. There are other battles which could have been arguably more interesting than this battle, but really it's a battle between a kingdom-destroying beast and a beta version of the Omnidroid Beast Quest. So yeah, honestly, fantastic beasts. Let's get to the stats so we can learn more about these beasts. Tecton the Armored Giant. Tecton is an ancient beast, once defeated by the White Knight of Forton. With 4 powerful legs, his body is covered in a thick hide of overlapping armor plates, bristling with spikes. His short legs don't stop him from moving quickly. Tecton has a different method of chasing his prey. He can curl into a ball like a giant hedgehog and roll across the ground to crush his victims. Age 323, power 208, magic level 132, fright factor 78, size 304. Powers and abilities: natural weaponry and spike projectiles. Tecton has a spike tail from which he can fire spikes. He also has sharp claws. Natural armor, a ball form, enhanced speed, and cold resistance. Weaknesses is pierceable shell. Tecton shell can be pierced by a sharp enough weapon like an icicle. A dentable shell. Tecton shell can also be dented with enough force. And removable shell. Tecton shell also falls off if he is defeated. Okay, moving on to Krokol. Krokol, the Father of Fear. This beast posed the biggest ever threat to Avantia, for Krokol merged with Tom to wreak havoc, turning the kingdom's most honourable hero into a hulking warrior bent on destruction. Battling this beast took Tom into a spiritual realm from which there was almost no return. Age 400, power 293, magic level 191, fright factor 96, size 188. Powers and abilities: enhanced strength, enhanced durability, slime manipulation, and possible flight. Yeah, we'll give him flight because his true form does have wings. Equipment: corrupted golden armor, and weaknesses: potion of Krokol's blood, which is when he was possessing Tom, so that's not his actual weakness as due to this form. And his actual weakness is Tanner's blade. I will say his enhanced strength and enhanced durability comes from when he's possessing Tom's body, and I'm going to give him that ability as well as the corrupted golden armor as well, just to make things a bit more interesting. But with that, that's the stats all done, and with that, let's get to the fight. Okay, so with the stats department done, we're now going to go to the battlefield, which I think is only fitting to do a Fallen Kingdom arena. So if you hear any background sound, please bear with me. If I have to pause, please bear with me. I do have 2 dogs here, and they like fighting each other. Brilliant. It's not brilliant, obviously, but hey, they're play fighting. It's fine, it's fine. Unlike these 2, where they will be fighting each other to the death. So yeah, we're going to do the Fallen Kingdom arena because honestly, I think it's the most fitting one. And with that, let's get into this. So as the chamber doors open, Krokol immediately bursts out through the exit and comes to the center of the arena, roaring into the arena and keeping his wings folded in and just stares directly at the open chamber, from which he looks over and sees a white knight make its way out with nothing more than rope and a lance. Krokol almost stifles a laugh, thinking this can't be serious. But Krokol decides he's going to make quick work of this, so he shoots slime directly at the knight. It wraps around the knight and he pulls the knight towards him. The knight loses balance and gets dragged along the floor up to Krokol, where they're face to face with each other, in which Krokol grabs the knight by the helmet and chucks him towards a building where he shoots slime and pins him to that building. He then makes his way up to the knight with blazing speed due to the leg armor, and using the power of the golden breastplate and the gauntlets, he goes to punch the knight to break right into the building, but also finish him off very quickly. But at that point, the knight suddenly turned into Tecton, where the slime instantly just breaks right off him, and Tecton bites down onto the fist that was about to punch him right in the head. He used enough bite force to dig his fangs right into Krokol's wrists. Krokol roars in pain and using his other fist pushes Tecton's head back whilst Tecton's pulling at his other wrist. At that point, Krokol, using his golden boots and his breastplate, he pushes away from Krokol and jumps. No, he pushes away from Tecton and jumps backwards, unfolding his wings to get to a safe distance. Bear with me for a second. Sorry about that. So, as Krokol's now at a safe distance high above, Tecton rolls into his ball form and rolls around the arena, going into one building but not coming out, and he stays put, where Krokol comes down, goes face to face to the building, and using the breastplate again, punches a hole in that building, where he can see Tecton, who goes back to his ball form and rolls forward toward Krokol. Krokol, caught off guard by this, puts out both his hands to shoot slime to slow Tecton down, but also push him backwards, trying to keep Tecton at bay, unaware of the spikes which are along Tecton's shell, which Krokol gets his hands impaled on, causing Krokol to use his boots to jump up, unfold his wings, and stay at a safe distance. Tecton unfolds himself, where Krokol immediately uses that to his advantage and shoots slime at each of his paws, each of Tecton's paws. Tecton looks up and just growls, almost like in a little sinister, smiling way as well. And what Tecton does, he lifts up his tail and swings it towards Krokol. Krokol, thinking nothing bad can happen from that, gets greeted by Tecton repeatedly waving his tail in Krokol's direction. And at that point, a bunch of spikes come flying towards Krokol. Krokol, getting caught off guard by this, tries to dodge them with all his might. But due to his wingspan and his wings, I'm going to say resemble torn bat wings, if that makes sense. I know it's referenced in here. There we go. Yeah, okay. Yeah, torn bat wings. I'll call it that. Yeah, the spikes go right through the wings, as none actually hit Krokol's body. But Krokol realizes he's losing his flight, so he folds in his wings and goes down to the ground, landing in almost like a superhero pose when he lands, where he charges up towards Tecton, who rolls into his ball, and they're both colliding right at each other. You know, a ball. Krokol readies his fist to go punch the ball, and he does. It lands it. He gets impaled by some of the spikes on his fist, but knocks Tecton back. Tecton unfolds himself and growls in aggression before waving his tail again to shoot another wave of spikes. Krokol, using his wrist to defends his head from the spikes as Tecton rolls into another ball, rolling towards Krokol. However, it's not as fast as it used to be due to it being dented from Krokol's punch. Hard enough material, like I said. So Tecton is moving at a bit of a slower pace, but is still making good speed. Krokol, using his leg armor, decides to run around this arena, trying to confuse Tecton. Tecton just laughs and mirrors that by following Krokol, going round and round the perimeter of the arena, barely keeping up with him, because the speed that Tecton can roll at is equivalent to the leg armor, but as he's dented, he'll go a bit slower. Krokol, caught off guard by this, decides that he's going to try and catch Tecton off guard, where he immediately stops, turns around, and punches that ball, knocking Tecton right into the perimeter of the arena, and like a pinball, gets rebounded to the other side of the arena, going all the way around the arena, knocking down buildings, denting the walls, denting Tecton's shell. And once Tecton comes to a stop, he growls, waves his tail to try and catch Krokol off guard, attack him with the projectiles, keeps waving it, and Krokol gets him hit by one in his hand, but he doesn't really feel the pain very much. Like, it's just a minor annoyance, rather, due to its durability. Krokol just laughs and makes his way up to Tecton, just letting all the projectiles hit him, having no fear whatsoever of the projectiles, being careful not to have any spikes hit his eyes, until he's face to face with Tecton and just uppercuts Tecton's jaw, knocking his head upwards, and then jumping up and slamming his head into the ground. Tecton roars in anger at this and lifts up a claw to attack, but Krokol is too fast, using the breastplate, stops it with both his hands, and he turns to face the angry face of Tecton, where Tecton goes to bite down onto Krokol. Krokol, immediately realizing that he's caught himself in a catch-22 here, he pulls back one hand, uppercuts the jaw of Tecton, and jumps back to a safe distance as the claw comes piling down where he once stood, causing a dust cloud to emerge. As the dust clears, Krokol has his hands ready to shoot any slime at this beast to slow him down. But out of it comes the White Knight. And before Krokol could even think, the Knight's already got a kind of rope ready where he throws it and wraps itself around Krokol's body. Krokol just laughs, thinking he could just break free of it easily. But he underestimated how powerful the rope is due to the Knight. Krokol tries to break free from it, but is struggling, almost like this rope is like, okay, it's wrapped around him multiple times at this point, so it's a bit durable at this point. Krokol's trying to break free from it, but struggling. And as the knight ties the other side of the rope down to the ground, Krokol realizes he's kind of trapped. And what the knight does now, he pulls out the lance and makes his way up to Krokol. And using it, he pulls it back and stabs it right towards Krokol's eye, where it impales his eye. Krokol roars in pain about this, and having that new burst of adrenaline, he's able to just break free from the ropes and goes to charge up towards the knight, where he lifts up both his claws, grabs the knight by the shoulders, and unfolding his wings, trying to fly up due to the amount of holes he's struggling, but he flies up, bringing the knight with him. And going as high as he can, he then chucks the knight down to the ground. The knight turns into Tecton and curls up into the ball, where the ball of Tecton lands into the ground, creating another dust cloud, where Tecton quickly turns back into the knight, grabs the what's left of the rope, and goes to rip it out towards Krokol, but obviously it doesn't reach. Krokol sees that though and just laughs, where he shoots the slime at the rope and pulls it out of the knight's hand and lets it fly over the walls of the arena. Whilst Krokol was distracted by that though, whilst the dust is still there, I will say, whilst Krokol was distracted by that, the knight used that to his advantage to turn into Tecton again and send another bunch of projectiles of spikes directly towards Krokol. This time, the spikes actually hit Krokol in the back, where Krokol roars in anger, thinking he just got bamboozled by that. He then plummets down into the dust cloud, ready to just finish off Tecton once and for all, having both his fists down like that, ready to just punch whatever he hits. And he actually hits Tecton's shoulder blade, where Tecton immediately bounds towards Krokol and snaps down onto Krokol's arm, like this arm here around there. Krokol roars in pain, and using his other hand, he tries to pry the jaws of Tecton from him. But this time Tecton was prepared. He lifts up his other claw and slashes down at Krokol's other arm, and then lifting up the claw again, he slashed it down onto Krokol's head, slamming Krokol's head into the ground. Krokol roars in anger about this, but Tecton's still having a firm grip on him. Krokol realizes what he needs to do just to even break free from him. So Krokol takes one big breath and then decides that he's going to have to break his arm. He inhales and slams himself into Tecton's head, twisting his arm in the process, breaking it. He then pulls with all his might as Tecton's grip only tightens, causing more pain. And as the grip on Tecton's mouth fully closes, Krokol's able to pull his arm free, now completely amputated. He lifts up what's left of his arm to keep any blood from coming out, and using his free hand, he shoots slime at Tecton's claws, trying to pin him down to the ground. That didn't work last time. Shoots slime towards his mouth as well to wrap around his mouth and his nose to block his airways. Tecton is now trapped, but he curls up into his ball to break free from the slime around his claws and rolls up towards Krokol, where he unfolds, slime still around the mouth though, but lifts up both his claws and brings them down towards Krokol's chest, knocking him back. Krokol gets up and using his leg arm, it charges up towards Tecton, and using the breastplate power goes to sideswipe Tecton's mouth, knocking Tecton's head into the wall of the arena. However, Tecton only comes back, growls through the slime covering his mouth, and goes to lunge at Krokol, completely forgetting that he had slime over his mouth. Krokol just laughs at this and decides to give him another side swipe, slamming his head into the wall, and then he grabs onto Tecton's head and continues slamming Tecton's head into the wall. Tecton, feeling some pain from this, is not going to let this small beast decide that he's going to control what Tecton does with his own head. Tecton lifts up his claws and slams it down onto Krokol's head, causing Krokol to release his grip off of Tecton's head, and Tecton decides to give Krokol a taste of his own medicine. Using his claw, he digs it into Krokol's back, and lifting his paw up, he's bringing up the top half of Krokol, where he's slamming Krokol into the ground underneath Tecton's weight. Tecton then pulls back his claws, rolls into a ball, and rolls directly on top of Krokol, slamming him into the ground. Tecton then reverts back to his knight form, picks up his lance, and lifts it up over his head. I'm aware lance are long, bear with me, and brings it down directly on the back of Krokol's neck. Krokol's roaring in pain as he's very winded by being crushed into the ground. As the knight reverts back to Tecton again, using both his claws, he digs it into that wound on Krokol's back and rips Krokol's back open before using his claws and just starts digging away at Krokol's insides. Black blood's going everywhere, Krokol's innards are being flown all over the arena, and Krokol's roaring in pain the entire time, before Tecton decides that Krokol's probably had enough pain, where he forcibly turns Krokol's body round, his face paler than ever, and gasping for breath, Tecton lifts up one claw and just slices at Krokol's neck. And then with that, Krokol's struggling stops, his noise just fades away, and Tecton turns round and makes his way back to his chamber. So with that was actually a great fight, I will be honest. And I think this was one where I think either beast could have won, where I know a majority of people will be expecting one beast to win. Yeah, the other one won. Bit surprised by that one. So with that, Tecton's won, Krokol's lost. If you think Krokol should have won, please comment below why you think that. However, I do understand why you think that. But my word is final, and Tecton's moving on to the next round. Yeah. So, multiple things. One, yes, the slime covered up Tecton's mouth and nose, blocking his airway so he couldn't breathe. When he reverted back to his knight form, the slime was too big and didn't cover his mouth anymore. So when he went back to Tecton, the slime was gone. So that's why he was able to breathe. Okay, and another thing, immense size difference. Krokol has the strength, but both of them have matched durability. And whilst Krokol, I would say, is a bit stronger physically, ultimately, I would say Tecton's that bit more durable. He can dent the shell, but I don't think he's going to be able to break the shell, especially due to the protective spikes that Tecton has. As for the knight didn't really have much to play there, because all he had was a rope, which was shown in Doomskull. So that's why he had a rope. And he had a lance in this book, because that's how he killed Taladon. Spoilers, but this book is many years old at this point, so it's not really any spoilers, is it? So, yeah. I think giving Tecton the victory also... Looking at this matchup, I can tell most people will probably think, oh, Krokol's going to win this, easy. I think giving Tecton the victory here can kind of give the impression to you guys that just because one beast is more popular and is shown to be incredibly strong, it doesn't mean they're going to win the tournament. I've done this kind of thing multiple times throughout my previous tournaments. I mean, old generation, Cobra died in round 2. Specials generation, Kyrax died in the top 7. He had Terminator-like abilities. Specials generation, Krokol died in round 2. All generation, Krokol died in round 1, Zircon died in round 1, and Cobra died in round 2. Round 3. Maybe 4. I don't know at this point. Insects only, the overpowered beast did win. So, okay. We'll ignore that one. And then we go to this one where this was one of the overpowered beasts and it died in round 1 to a beast which I think can actually mirror the battle statistics. I don't know what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I personally think Tecton would win this fight due to the immense size. And whilst I can see why you think Krokol could win, ultimately the golden armor can only get you so far. And yeah, that's why I gave Tecton the victory here. That's pretty much all I can say about this one. Yeah, so with that, we have our 15 beasts through to round 2. Some of these beasts I was not actually expecting to make it through to round 2 due to them not being very respected by me on a beast perspective. Or just by seeing their matchups, you would think their opponent would win, but no, they won somehow. So that's all for this time. That's all for round 1. And I'll see you in the next video where I'll be doing the summary of round 1. If you like what you saw, leave a like, leave a comment, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.